Welcome to Cubby's Pub. I am your host, Cubby Jaxon, and you're in for a great treat again this Saturday because I have my beautiful candy apple Mama Bear here with me today. And so we're going to get into a few things today. I want to start by saying it was a remembered day for Pearl Harbor the other day. Um, as I said last week, my family's been in the military. My grandfather was in the military. My father was in the military. Two of my uncles were in the military. My brother-in-law is in the military. His son, my nephew, was also in the military. So we got a pretty good functioning history there of military background.
Me too.
Um, I want to introduce my sponsor. His name is David Ward, and he's with Gator Glide Slick Bottom Coatings for anything marine. It's the easiest plied slick bottom you'll ever find. It's easier to apply than Steel Flex, and it's easier to touch up as well. Do not get stuck without it. Slicker than possum piss, I tell you. Give Dave Ward a call. His number is 863-633-8300. Again, that's for Gator Glide. Stuff works on anything, man. He does jet skis, canoes, airboats, bay boats. It works for everything. And again, that's Gator Glide. His name is David Ward, 863-633-8300. And the beauty of that is I did not say O because O is really annoying. Um, I want to talk about this Conor McGregor story. Apparently Ireland's just lost it. They have so many immigrants in that country and food short. Everything's bad over there in Europe right now. But anyway, pardon me. So Conor McGregor went online and pretty much said they were making him a scapegoat because he made a comment the night before that there's just too much going on. There was the former martial arts star Conor McGregor was accused authorities of making him a scapegoat for the riots in Dublin last week. Reports police investigated his social media before the violence, and they found out that Conor McGregor made him a statement. McGregor on Wednesday accused the government of trying to deflect attention from the stabbing attack on children that triggered the anti immigrant protest in Ireland's capital on the 23rd of November. And I think one of those kids are still seriously, seriously injured. So what he said was, Ireland, we are at war. Conor McGregor posted on the 22nd of November to 10.3 million followers in response to the non-nationals that could vote in local elections. They're pretty upset about it. The whole country's breaking down. So if you're over in that area and you're an American, you better be very, very careful. There was another story that came up about this Boston woman. Pardon me. She was killed in a shark attack. Right off of the Bahamas. The American woman died after she was attacked by a shark while paddleboarding in the Bahamas on Monday, police said. The woman in her 40s visited from Boston with a male relative, and the attack occurred right in the resort of Western New Province. According to police, added the pair were rescued by a lifeguard. So they tried to do mouth to mouth. They tried to revive her, and apparently nothing worked. The woman was in her 40s again, visiting from Boston, and she was pronounced dead at the scene, police said. While the fatal shark attacks, they say, isn't that common in the Bahamas, at least two others were attacked too. On November 21st, a 47-year-old German woman went missing during diving on an excursion on the waters right off of the west end of the Grand Bahamas. And in September of 2022, a 58-year-old woman was killed by a shark attack snorkeling with her family in the waters of New Province, too. We got stuff down here that'll kill people. People up north don't get it. You watch out for what? Bears, coyotes. I mean, we got snakes, we got sharks, we got alligators, we got amoeba. They say that'll kill you. So when you're down here in the water, man, you got to be very careful. You know how that is with the water down here.
Yes, too many scary things that you can't see. I
Yeah.
like my pool.
Yeah, she likes her pool. She's got a lot of things going on. This was an interesting story. A lot of you that have known me for years know that I ran a sawmill company and had my big 70-inch wide sawmill, my True Cut, which I spent a lot of money for and I loved it. And back in July, I hurt my back really bad, had a blowout. So we got from the L2 to the S1, 6 rods, 12 screws, 2 pins, whatever the heck it is. And we've been doing a lot of wood. I still have a lot in the backyard too, but I came across this story my friend Mark sent me, and it says, what is a sandbox tree? Now, I've cut a lot of trees in my life, and I've still never heard of this. It's considered one of the most dangerous plants in the world. A sandbox tree isn't suitable for home landscapes or landscape actually at all. That being said, it's an interesting plant and one that deserves understanding. There's a thing here where it's telling me the sandbox tree has this fruit and it looks like little pumpkins, but once it dries into seed capsules, they become ticking bombs, man. They get fully mature, and when they do, they explode. This is a true story. And they have these little flat, sharp seeds inside of them. And what happens is they shoot out of there about 150 miles an hour up to 60 feet. Right? That's pretty insane. And so it definitely will injure a person or an animal around it. If you want to read more, you can go to Gardening Know How. That's where this article came from. My wife has an interesting story. You got that story that you found? And we've been working on this for a while to get the cameras right, the audio right, the video right. Remember, this is going to be our first 1 hour podcast. So we've been working on it pretty hard. While she's looking for that story, I can tell you, I don't know if a lot of people follow the Trump case, but the case going on in New York with this Letitia James. Now, Letitia James came out and she said just actually she was going to go after Trump. She was going to go after his family. She was going to go after the business. That there was definitely some shit going on there that you know what they do, man. They throw it in there and hope for some unicorn glitter and have something stick. They impeached him twice, they indicted him 4 times, and every time they do, they just seem to get more power. So if they want to keep indicting, why don't they arrest him? He'd be king for a year. Letitia James, in the case there, Trump brought in the Deutsche Bank guys. And when he brought the Deutsche Bank guys in, they literally got up there and said that they were one of the best clients that they ever had. They had made hundreds of millions of dollars. They were never late at all on any payment. And he also added to the judge that even if there was a holiday or something coming up, they would pay in advance, so there wasn't no late fee. So when you're filing charges against fraud, there's only one person that loses. It isn't the person selling; it's the bank. And if the bank's making hundreds of $1 millions and they don't have no complaints, then obviously it's a snowball kind of game. So what story did you come up with?
Um, I came up with a great story about a judge who was tired of sending these kids off to juvie that just it doesn't help them. It just makes them better criminals and
This
harder
is a fact.
people.
This is a fact.
So he came up with Jobs Not Jail. And this is in California, and it started in the year 2000. And the California penitentiary system for crimes committed during a violent, unguided, and hopeless adolescence is what he was targeting. In 2003, he set out to find a better way to get kids in an environment of support where they could pass through these difficult years with a hand on their shoulder. So he started the Ranchero Silo.
I would say that's Silo. Yeah,
Uh,
that's a really good story. I think I caught a clip of that, but I didn't hear the whole story. This is fabulous.
it's in Salinas, California, and it's actually on an old juvenile detention center. Um, and that he brought together county supervisors and different judges and enforcement leaders to make it a vocational training center for these kids, culinary.
So they're learning all kinds of stuff: construction, cooking. Yeah, that's what I heard in the story. Yeah, that's fabulous. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
real life skills that they can use.
Yeah, I mean, especially now in school, these schools are just terrible. Like the Harvard story. We'll get into that in a little bit, but these people, they go in there. What was it? Kamala Harris said one time on the thing that when these kids go to no, it was the what's the lady in charge of all the schools? Gosh, why can't I ever remember her name? Oh, I keep wanting to say Lurch, but that ain't it. She went on there and they said when the kids come to school, they're our kids, and it's our job to take care of them. And I mean, parents flipped out. I mean, that's the same thing that happened in Virginia. That's why they lost the race in Virginia.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, good story about the judge. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. So the statistics represent a 200% increase in positive outcomes
Good job.
for for these kids because the typically only 40% of youth coming out of incarceration managed to steer clear of law enforcement for 1 year. But coming out of this ranchero, it's an 80% of those youths do not reoffend in 1 year. And additionally, while it costs more than $100,000 a year to incarcerate a juvenile in Monterey County, it only costs about $10,000 a year to educate them at this ranch.
Yeah, education's the key. I mean, you can. I mean, we've all been down that bad road. But if you ain't educated and you're not in a position to be determined, then it all goes in the opposite direction. That's just what
But
happens.
teaching them real life skills. So hands up for those for that judge who is making a difference in those kids' lives.
Yeah, I think that's a phenomenal story.
Mhm.
So, you ready for Christmas?
Almost. I have a pile of boxes to wrap.
You have a really pretty tree, though.
Yes, I do. It's
We got our
beautiful.
tree right after Thanksgiving. A lot of people like to wait, but they're going to die anyway. They're already cut. They're already in the truck. You might as well go get them and give them a life. That's what I say.
Just keep your fire extinguisher nearby.
Yeah, which we do. Man, them things go up like kindling. At least we're in a brick house. I mean, that's some sort of protection, I guess. All right, so you have another story too you wanted to tell. I can let you go ahead and do that.
I do. It is called, with as supportive as we try to be of our veterans and the troops, and we have so much family that's been part of the military. Um, there is an organization that has it's been a while around for quite a while now, but it is called Trees for Troops.
That's a really good story. We found that story together, and I think both of us got a little up in ours about. Yeah, go ahead, baby.
And this year they gave away their 300,000 tree to a service family. And that was over in Fort Liberty. And like I said, and FedEx and this organization have come together to collect funds for the trees to be able to give them out to these
How many did
service
they
people.
pass out? It was a pretty big number. What, like 300?
16,000 a year, and
16,000.
they're on their 300,000 tree.
That is really awesome, baby.
And FedEx delivers all of these trees, so that's additional hours for FedEx and for paying them. So this is a big wonderful thing that these companies have come together, and then the community is donating the trees as well.
Yeah, that's a great story. That's a great story. We'll get to some more good news later. Can we continue? I love that story. Florida won't be accepting no special driver's licenses. Apparently, there's a big to-who. On July 1st, nearly 2,000 new laws went into effect, including some strictest immigration laws in the country. It's no secret that Ron DeSantis, the Republican majority legislator, have made immigration a priority. They're orchestrating these migrant so-called trips from these sanctuary cities to new legislation, including the invalidation of the state driver's license, issued by two undocumented immigrants. On Wednesday, the Florida Department of Safety and Motor Vehicles put a list of the 5 states that are doing this, and the list is Connecticut, Delaware, Rhode Island, and Vermont. Typical license from these states are invalid, including the language such as not as federal identification or driver's license privilege card. I know Minnesota just did it too. It's like that Dick Bergen, what's his name, the senator from I think he's from Utah. He actually went and tried to pass. He's trying to pass a bill right now that says that the immigrants that are in here right now they can pass a physical, and if they pass the physical, they can go right into the military. Upon military, they'll get their citizenship. And the most screwed up thing about that, this guy's an absolute dingbat, is because there are a lot of bad seeds that came in across the border. I mean, it's a ridiculous number. There's like 1,000 Syrians, 900 Iranians, 16,000 Chinese diplomats, and then or whatever they're called, and then the 16,000 Russians, and that's just bad news for everybody around. I mean, so the total, I think there was like 17. There's California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Rhode Island, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, and Washington that are providing these illegal immigrants with identifications. And I'm New York, Nevada, California. I think it's they're already allowed to vote. So there's no backtracking this. I mean, this is why they're bringing the people in right now because they know they're losing the black vote. I don't know how much you guys watch on the news, but I watch quite a bit. I flip through my phone pretty much most of the day, and Chicago residents are pissed. New York residents are pissed. I mean, these communities have been asking for help and money and resources just for as long as I can remember. I don't know how long it's been going on, maybe 100 years or something. But they're just in an uproar. You're going to bring in 8 million people as of now. It's supposed to be up to 15 million by the time Biden gets fired. But they're giving them the right to vote. They're supplying them with housing. They're giving them 5 grand, cell phones. They're putting them on medical benefits. I mean, this is something we can't even get the vets on. They're sleeping in the streets. They're getting no help. They're waiting hours and hours for a doctor. I mean, this is the kind of situation you put yourself in when you vote Democrat year after year after year. I mean, just take a look at Baltimore, Chicago. I mean, these people should be upset. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting. And I'm glad Trump is willing to come back and do something about it. I mean, I all think we all need hope. I mean, without hope, you're just dead in the water. We've all been in them dark places. I mean, if voting really gets you that upset where you want to pull your hair out like the chick that, well, they got that lady on the steps when Hillary lost. Like, you don't need to be crying and bawling. You have to do something about it. They're taking masculinity away from men. It's in the food, it's in the water. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure you get rid of masculinity, you get rid of backbone. So, some of these guys just need to have a backbone. There was a report out of the New York Times. I think it was the New York Times. It was the New York Post that Melania Trump is pushing Donald Trump to pick Tucker Carlson as the VP.
Tucker, Tucker.
We're a big fan of Tucker. He's got two studios. He's got one in Maine and then one down here in Florida.
I
And the
did
one
not
in
know
Maine
that.
is the one in Maine is where he does his wood show. Like when you tell the guy, you just need to go live in the woods. Like Tucker's in the fucking woods, man. I mean, that's where he does his show. Um, so there was a really good story I read the other day, and I just had to save it because I think this is awesome. Utah State quarterback Levi Williams is leaving. He's foregoing his senior year to go join the Navy SEALs, and it was a really good interview because what he said was, and on a quote, he wanted to go in the military to save what was left of this country because the dude's got a spine. He's following in the footsteps of Roger Staubach, I believe. Let me read the article here to you. So Utah State quarterback Levi Williams is foregoing his final year of eligibility to join the Navy SEALs. Williams led the Aggies in bowl eligibility and made the decision to protect the country by joining the Navy. He will follow in the footsteps of former quarterback from the Cowboys, Roger Staubach, who also left to serve the Navy. And Roger was good, man. I mean, I was the beginning of the time that I started watching sports, but Staubach was good, man. You get him down just a touchdown, you can start to see his fangs come out, man. He was pretty awesome. So what else do we got here? He accumulated 480 yards and 7 touchdowns in 10 games this season. Williams will follow in the footsteps of former quarterback Roger Staubach to sacrifice football to serve his country, and that's just a really good story. The guy's a rock star. I mean, this kid's a rock star in Utah, and he's willing to forgive it all up just to go into the Navy SEALs, which I think is awesome. Lindsey Graham, um, who I kind of like. I mean, I think he's in the right direction. I don't know. A lot of the story up on the hill is the donors. I mean, I've said the same thing over and over. If you're up in Capitol Hill and you can't take care of old people and kids, you have no fucking business there. And all these people care about is donors and votes. I mean, again, that's why they're bringing the 8 million people in here and giving them IDs to vote. They know they're losing the black vote. They already lost the Latino vote. They won Miami. Trump won Miami in 2016. A Republican hasn't won Miami in over 2 decades. So that was pretty impressive. But Lindsey Graham the other day said the greatest threat levels that I have been informed of and growing numbers of are threats to this country. It's imperative that we get control over the chaos in the southern border. President Biden, as commander in chief, has no greater duty than to secure the homeland. And that should be the focus of the security talks. I mean, there is no other. This is non negotiating, he said. Regarding immigration policy, this negotiation is to deal with the glaring, growing, and incredibly dangerous national security problems that we face. And again, if you can't fix your back door, I tell you what really pisses me off is that they sent 150 billion or something, and they want to add another 100 billion, which just got shot down. I'll go through that too. So they want to send 150 billion over there to protect their borders and their people, and they won't even do it here. I mean, $150 billion gets every homeless person off the street. It builds two borders, one in there, one down south, and one across Canada. I mean, that's an awful lot of money. Bridges are fixed, roads are fixed, schools get painted, get cleaned up. Maybe they can, at least in some of these red states, man, kind of start doing better with education. Education's always been a downfall for all of them. Um, Up on the hill, like I said, it just doesn't seem to be caring as it should. I mean, it's just getting worse and worse. All right, you have another story you were going to do. You need to prepare yourself for that. The rioters at the BLM riots, so they burnt down the Wendy's. I don't know if anybody saw that. It was a friendly protest with a completely fiery background. Anyway, the duo plead guilty to burning down the Atlanta Wendy's during the BLM riots and face no jail time. They're literally getting $500 in community service, and I don't know if anybody saw that, but that just absolutely disgusting. The comment was they burnt down the Wendy's, but it was a fiery and mostly peaceful protest, which I thought was pretty hilarious. And what you got for your other story there, sweetheart?
Well, with all the wonderfully uplifting news of the border and just the chaos going on, I like to try to ease it up a little bit and find some of these uplifting stories.
If you were a golf club, you would be the sweet spot. That's what we always look for. It's like good cop, bad cop, but she generally is good all the time.
So I found a story about this teen who has created a Lego charity, and he collects and washes old Legos, and then he has a group that comes together and they repurpose them into new sets to give away to kids. And Legos is one of those toys that take a lot more thought, and you have to use your hand, your brain, and build and create. So his name is Charlie Jeffers, and he's been playing with Lego since he was 4 or 5. And it's one of the famous of all toys for helping him learn math, engineering, concepts, how to be focused, how to be flexible, and how to be creative. And it occurred to him that many kids don't have access to play tools like Lego, and their emotional and cognitive development suffers as a result. A lot of these kids are just busy playing video games, which I'm not pushing video games away. I'm just, let's add in
Yeah, throw
something
them all in the
more.
garbage. I mean, these kids today, man. When you were younger, you always hear like your dad, your uncle, your grandpa. You kids these days, and I'm 52, but feeling like I'm 70, and I can honestly say the kids these days are just they'll just never know what it's like to go to a drive-in or go roller skating or your first sip of Mad Dog or something, throwing up for 2 days. They'll never understand.
So Legos are extremely expensive, though. If you've ever been to the Lego store, and a lot of kids just can't afford them, and a lot of these Legos just end up in landfills. So he launched the Pass the Bricks in 2020 to address both of these issues. He and his volunteer-based team repurpose used Lego bricks into new original sets for kids in marginalized communities who don't know about them or can't afford them. So Pass the Bricks has an open model program template with 4 steps: collect the used Legos, sanitize, sort them, create new sets, and then deliver them in marginalized communities. So, shout out to Charlie Jeffers, and he is a teenager right now, and
Good
he's
job, young
doing
man.
things like that.
Very good
So,
job, young man.
that's impressive and uplifting.
That is impressive and uplifting. I'll give you that. So, um, the House is going to vote next week on formally charging Biden with impeachment. And I just don't think you can hide it. I don't even know how they've been hiding it this long. Honestly, I mean, the guy, you got pictures of him with all of Hunter Biden's associates at dinner, on dates. They're hugging and kissing and calling on the phone. And the other day they did the interview, and then the lady asked him again, "Have you still stick by the story that you've never had personal dealings with Hunter's associates?" And he said it's all a lie. And we got pictures everywhere. The laptop kind of says it all. So the U.S. House is going to vote next week, formally authorizing the impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden. Speaker Johnson said Tuesday, asserting Republicans have no choice but to push ahead at the White House has rebuffed their request for information. Johnson and the rest of the Republican leadership have been contemplating on recent weeks whether they'll hold a formal vote on it, and it's all centered around the business deal. I mean, it's no secret. There's millions and millions and millions of dollars going in and out, and I wish I could bring in the videos, like the videos, the audios, the clips. I mean, I'm working on it. I ain't quite got that good with the software yet, but we are working on it.
We'll get there.
She's doing her best. And it's just obvious. There's millions of dollars going out. They got the paper trail, they got the bank receipts. Now they got some other kind of paperwork where Hunter Biden's business was actually sending Joe Biden money directly. And it's just only a matter of time. They say, well, some Republicans vary on holding a vote on the inquiry. Johnson said the House needs to exercise the authority to the fullest and stand off with any White House over request. So information related to Biden and his son Hunter, the House has no choice. I mean, Mike said he's going to have to go forward. It's their constitutional responsibility. So they're going to go ahead and push through with that. And the son's not in no better shape. They just charged him with a bunch of tax crimes. And he looks like he's in a lot of trouble. They charge him with 9 counts. And then 3 of those are felonies. And he's looking at like 17 years. And if you haven't figured it out yet, I'm going to tell you what this is. This is Hunter Biden getting charged with as many crimes as he can. I'm surprised they didn't throw the gun charge in there. Is it in there? I don't think I read it in there. I read it online, but I don't think I saw the gun charge. So they're going to give him all the crimes that they can, and then before Joe Biden's fired, he's going to go ahead and give him clemency, and he can never be charged with it again. That's kind of what's going on. Federal grand jury, Hunter Biden on Thursday with a scheme to evade federal taxes and millions of income from foreign businesses. The second indictment against him is this year is a major new development in the case. Republicans have made a cornerstone of a possible impeachment on President Biden. And, the Bidens, man, the president's son faces 3 counts on each evasion of tax assessment. You'll have to excuse me. I'm still extremely nervous. This is just torment. um, so, according to the 56-page indictment, a withering play-by-play of the personal indulgence and potential enormous political cost to his father, charges were filed in California. I mean, that's what this happened from the 5 months ago when he had the plea deal and he didn't want to take it. And he would have done minimal jail time, but again, as president, probably would have written off clemency anyway. Can't say that because I don't know. Let's wait and find out what's happening. The tax charges has always been the more serious element of the inquiry by the special counsel David C. Weiss, who began the investigation of the president's son 5 years ago as a Trump appointed U.S. attorney in Delaware. Mr. Weiss was retained when President took office in 2003. And now, if I remember right, the Weiss is the same guy he worked for Obama. He's the one that let all the tax charges slip beyond what's the word I'm looking for when a crime gets too late? The statutes.
Statute of
Yeah, the
limitations.
statute of limitations. Um, the U.S. Senate also blocked Ukraine and Israel bill. They wanted to send another $100 billion over there.
Sure, why not?
I mean, really, right? I mean, people are starving. People can't eat. They can't afford food. They can't afford groceries. I mean, they're getting second jobs. I mean, this whole thing is just absurd. So, Washington D.C. This is a Routers article. An emergency spending bill to provide billions of dollars in new security assistance for Ukraine and Israel was blocked in the U.S. Senate Wednesday. The Republicans pressed their demands and tough measures to control immigration at the U.S. border in Mexico. They're just not willing to give the money away until they do something about this border. And I hope Mike Johnson takes note. Congress gives them the money. You just gave away $350 million to the FBI to have a new headquarters. And they're spying on American citizens, man. The whole thing is just gross. The vote was 51-49, and leaving the 110.5 billion measure short of the 60 votes needed in the 100-member Senate that took that vote. The vote was along party lines, with every Senate Republican voting no, along with Senator Bernie Sanders, which is a big shock, by the way, an independent who generally votes with Democrats, but expressed concerns about funding Israel. The current inhumane military strategy against Palestine, and this is another thing about Palestine. I mean, they're literally locking the citizens up in these hospitals and everything above them, and they're camped out underneath, man. The caves, the tunnels. I mean, they're literally underneath the hospitals, plotting to kill Americans. There's only so much you can do. I don't think anybody wants to see American lives get sacrificed. I don't think any of us would do that. Blah blah blah. Information related to Biden and his son. The House has no choice but to follow the constitutional responsibility formally adopt the impeachment inquiry on the floor, so that when subpoenas are challenged in court, they will be at the apex of the constitutional authority. I mean, that's basically what that boils down to. Uh, I got my big picture of the Cubby Jaxon show. It's so cute. The thing with the Harvard, we were going to talk about that earlier. So the University of Pennsylvania um, principal got up there and they were asking her if it was a hate crime. I mean, was there anything in your books that allow people to just sit there and talk about killing Jews from the river to the sea? And some of these videos, you see the guy, I don't know who the guy, he goes, "What river? What sea?" These people are just incompetent. They just have no idea what they're talking about. So one of the donors, I can't remember his name right offhand. I don't know if I have that in there. So Liz McGill is supposed to resign Friday over growing outrage over this. This was the University of Penn, and they almost lost $100 million donation because the guys that are doing the donations and building the libraries, and they're just not too happy about any of it. I don't think anybody's too happy
Well, if
about it.
I was giving money to a school that was condoning that kind of behavior and hate, against many of the students, I wouldn't want to send my money there either.
Yeah, I know. Where's the women's rights things? Where's the ACLU? I mean, You got grown ass men using bathrooms with girls. Like that Leah Thompson. I hate dwelling on this, man, but this guy's fully intact. I mean, this is just a guy, and this is just a guy wearing a dress. I mean, that's all he is. If you would have done this 15 years ago, you'd have been in prison. Who wants a grown ass man going in the bathroom with their 6 year old? I don't even know. And then you got the videos of the drag shows at school. I mean, I don't know if anybody's watching any of this on YouTube or Rumble, but I have to say, man, it's pretty disgusting stuff. So, Pink could lose $100 million donation after it bungled the congressional hearing. Jordan Hart and Madeline Berg wrote this December 7th. Liz McGill, the president of the University of Pennsylvania, testifies before the House Education Workforce Committee and literally just sat there. Well, we'll have to check the content. I mean, the guy that asked the question was it Josh Hawley? I think it was. I love Josh Hawley, by the way. If you live in Missouri, you got a kick-ass governor. Ron DeSantis isn't a bad governor either, but Josh Hawley, he's a rock star, man. I love that guy. He's an absolute rock star. Missouri's a lucky people. So yeah, they basically said, so you're telling us that when you're out there chanting for, killing the Jews, that's not against the thing. And she was like, yeah, man, well, it would depend on the content. Like he just told you the fucking content, man. I mean, get a clue. But yeah, they're pretty pissed off, man. They're gonna pull money. And the sad part about all this is that it's generally the upper billionaire class that's donating all these money to these schools. And if anti-Semitism and hate speech don't bother you, stop donating to the schools. You could do a little bit better about saving the country if you can just get this crap out of these schools. It's just terrible. You know.
I'm just surprised that they even allow them to steer them in that type of direction in an American school, honestly.
Pretty outrageous, man. Pretty outrageous. So there was a town in Michigan that voted out their entire government, and then they locked the doors. This is a pretty funny story. So the election story goes out in Michigan. You might call it democracy in action. So the good people of Green Charter Township, a small rural community north of Grand Rapids, ousted all 5 board members in a special election held, and then they ended up locking the doors. They had the locks changed that night. So the residents took drastic action and in opposition to the construction in their town. There's a $2.3 billion EV plant that's supposed to be going up with this company called Goshen, and they're linked to China. They're linked to China. And these people in this town weren't having it, man. They didn't want to have it. He said, although it's backed by Volkswagen and operations in Germany, Goshen's parent company is based in China and has been accused of links to the country's Communist Party. Now, there's only 2 rules to China: you work till you die, and if you go anywhere else in the world, you're liable. Like you have to give them information. That's a true story, man. You can look that up too. Voters were angered that the non-ousted board moved forward with the project despite severe backlash from the community. At a hearing last year, one of the residents remarked, "My family members fought communism. I have." You can't bring it here. And then another resident, Harry King, said, right now we are not on friendly terms with China. They are threatening us, and I consider them the enemy, and we don't want them here. So the plan for Michigan plant and another targeted for Illinois has reportedly caught the attention of congressional Republicans who have called the Treasury Department to investigate this company called Goshen. And their reply was, "We're a multinational company and don't believe in political posturing, and are still committed to bringing thousands of jobs to the state of Michigan." And I think there's just a lot of issues there. I mean, left or right, everybody's right. I mean, it just doesn't seem to matter. There's no communication. There's no dialogue. These people on stage are like children, man. I mean, you just at some point got to get the mic cut off. Give them the 1 minute and shut them the fuck up. I think everybody's tired of hearing it, man. And the border. So I did find the numbers. So Afghans, 6,386. Egyptians, 3,153. Iranians, almost 700. Syrians, about 550. Russians, 12,605. And they got 26,000 Chinese folks coming into this country. Now, are they all bad? I don't know. I don't know where they came from. But I can tell you what, the ones that come from China, they owe. They owe. Don't let them fool around. That Texas border story was pretty. There's 12,000 immigrants crossed the border in a single day Tuesday. It was the highest ever recorded. And as I'm reading this article, I'm thinking this got to be insane, right? So the United States set a new record Tuesday with 12,000 migrants crossing over the southern border into the country. Pardon me. Man, I got to get a sip of my whiskey or something. Yeah, my throat just killed me. Oh, I know what the problem is.
Where are all these people gonna go?
There's just not enough whiskey in my cup. That's the problem. I have to do it for my therapy. Oh, yeah, this back thing hasn't been fun at all, man. They went in 6 rods, 12 screws, and I just got that test back the other day that I am at 40% disabled and mobility deficient. So I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. But yeah, so over 10,200 of those were taken into custody by border patrol after illegally crossing into the country between ports of entry. Now, this is the problem. It's not like the Bidens are running this operation. They're not. Everybody knows Obama's pulling the strings. Maybe Ron Klein, somebody else is in there with them, but they're just destroying everything, man. It just pisses me off. I mean, it pisses me off that you bring that many people into the country. You want to get them driver's license, you want to get them jobs, and their first act of them coming into the country is illegal, and nobody wants to do anything about it, man. It's just disgusting. Just disgusts me. It really, really does.
I just worry, you see the pictures on the television. Most of the people in these lines I'm seeing are grown men. Where's their wives? Where's their kids? Where
Yeah, we were watching the footage
it
from.
just is very odd to
Yeah, we
me.
were watching that footage Tuesday,
It's
and
disturbing.
they literally had like 30 Chinese guys stand with freaking suitcases. I think one guy had three. Remember me pointing out like the guy's got three suitcases. He didn't carry that shit across the desert. Probably 10 grand. Probably the cartel dropped him off in a nice Cadillac. You know, who knows? So
Mm.
Walt Disney. Now, this has been an issue in Florida for the last 3 years because Ron DeSantis wrote a bill basically saying that you're not going to teach our 6 to 12-year-olds that it's okay to cut their crotch out and become a woman, or little kids that they definitely think are girls. I mean, these teachers, some of these teachers in these democratic cities, man, they just lost their mind. So I found this article. Walt Disney's new losses since 2022 is $123 billion, and their stock dropped 44%. Now I got to tell you, good for them. Good for the citizens standing up for all this trash they want to spew, man. Go woke, go broke, brother. You know the deal. So Walt Disney Company loses $123 billion. Their stock drops 44%, and it turned Disney into a terrible, horrible, no, very good, bad year. So that's what the article says. I know it don't sound right, but that's what it says. Don't fret too much. Don't fret too much, though. This wasn't the worst year ever, just the second worst year ever. There's some positives to take away, even if you have to look reality deep into the well to find them. In 1974, Disney shares dropped 54%, which marked the worst year of its mega corporation. Not only was it the second worst Disney history, but also the second worst drop of any company in 2022. I mean, remember, that's $123 billion. You could probably build three more damn parks with that, man. Even though the parks like Walt Disney World and Disneyland did better than expected, they broke a record profit. Other portions of Walt Disney Company failed miserably, and that's where the huge loss comes from. Due to lower than expected profit, which led to the firing of Bob Chapek as Disney's CEO, and even hiring Bob Iger didn't help. I mean, he's in there doing absolutely nothing. Helping matters at all, nor a successful run of Avatar. They had a really good run of Avatar, The Way of the Water, and at the holidays this year. We went and watched that. We went and watched the opening to that.
We did on my birthday
Yeah,
last
three
year.
hours, man. 3 hour
It was
movie.
really long, but it was good.
People are blaming the wokeness of Disney and major fight with Governor Ron DeSantis over the Don't Say Gay bill. But that's not actually what the bill said. You can go look at the bill and read it yourself. The gay is not mentioned in that bill once. And I would hope somebody would go read it. I mean, I have a lot of buddies that do a lot of different things. I mean, you're fishing, you're hunting, you're mudding, you're bogging, you're, out on the boats most of the time. If you live here in Florida and you're not catching up to what's going on with these politics, you really should. Even if it's just liking a few pages, man, and getting the facts, because this this administration has really stretched out to destroy this country, and there's a lot of people in these cities that are just teaming up with them. I mean, I honestly believe if there was an invasion in this country, there's a small percentage in this country that would probably join the enemy. As sickening as that is to say, I know my grandfather's rolling over in his grave right now, but it is really sick to say. And pay attention, protect yourselves, and get some food, get some canned food, load up on water. I mean, just it doesn't cost barely nothing. I do it myself. I like my 5 gallon jugs of water, my cans of chili, and all my different varieties of soup. My wife likes picking it. See, what I call it is a prep station. What my wife call it is the store. So as long as she's agreed that it's the store, I don't get in trouble for doing it.
But even, the bins of things that you got that'll last that food 25 years. I mean, I think that's a good investment to have. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, it's always better to be safe than sorry. We got a couple of those 25-year buckets, but we just added some stuff. So we're going to be freeze drying and doing some canning and doing those kind of things. And besides that, it gives us something to do. Like I said, I'm down for a while here. So does me no good to try to be something I'm not or do something I can't. And that's why I wanted to start this podcast. I like running my mouth. I love people. I was a big fan of humanity until I guess what about 3 years, 3 weeks, 2 months, whatever it's been since Biden took office. So there was a good story that came out about the NCAA. Now I don't know if anybody caught this story, but that Leah Thompson is losing her medals. So they're going to give all the medals back to Riley Gaines, which I thought was a great story. I mean, like I said, chicks with dicks don't work. I mean, you only women can have children. I mean, this isn't rocket science. I mean, you could dress up as a woman all day you want, but if you're having a child, you're a woman. You know, chicks with dicks, man. Chicks with dicks. They could eat a bag of dicks for all I fucking care. So, in a groundbreaking and decisive move, the National College Athletic Association, better known as the NCAA, has announced a complete transfer of all the medals awarded to Leah Thompson to fellow Riley Gaines. This unprecedented decision marked a significant shift in the outgoing course of family fairness. Um, Inclusivity and involving landscape of the competition of sports as the sporting community grapples with the implications of this bold move. It prompts a revolution of policies that should broaden the conversation about the debate between the recognized individuals. Um, the transfer of the medals comes in wake of an extended period of controversy surrounding Leah Thomas' dominance in collegiate swimming as a transgender athlete. Again, this dude's fully intact. I mean, this isn't she's in the process or she's taking feminine. I mean, this is a full blown dude, man, that couldn't hack it in the men's world. That's why he went to women's sports and he hasn't done anything. Again, even if you're a woman and you want to have some sort of surgery or a dude that wants to have some sort of surgery, I don't think anybody cares if you want to mutilate yourself. More power to you, but you better be over 18 and you better make that decision on your own. You can't be 6, 7, 8, 9 years old and having teachers telling you that if you're a boy, that no, you might be a girl and want to get your junk cut off. I think California allows you to go out there and have sex change operations under the age of 12 without even having a parent's consent, man. Just gross. Just gross. So, as a transgender athlete, Thomas' achievements became a focal point for the debates in fairness and intricate dynamics of the competition within the women's sports. The NCAA, which initially deemed her participation and compliance with the regulations, which again, it's women's sports. How can you have a dude in women's sports? God, it fucking pisses me off. Now takes a monumental step to address the complex challenges posed by the intersection of identity and comprehensive athletics. With the transfer of all medals from Leah Thompson Gaines, the spotlight now shifts to Riley Gaines, an accomplished athlete whose talents whose talents have often been overshadowed by the ongoing debate surrounding Thomas. The decision is not only acknowledged by Gaines' individual achievements, but also serves as a symbolic triumph in the face of systemic challenges that sometimes obscure the recognition of talented athletes. And man, I don't understand where you go if you're in charge of children. And like I said, man, if you can't take care of kids and old people, you have no business up there. We send enough money everywhere. We're $2 trillion more in debt every year now because of what's been going on. And these are our grandkids. I mean, these people on the Hill act like they don't have kids, they don't have grandkids, they think they're going to stay rich forever. You watch, they're coming for you next. They're going to pass some more laws and some more bills like the wealth tax. That's another one you can go into. We might address that 2 weeks from today because we will not be here next Saturday. We wanted to be here, but we got this thing, and I don't really know how to say it. We're going to fucking Jamaica, bitches. That's what we're doing. You ready for that, baby?
I am. The suitcase is packed. The time off request is in. So I am going to celebrate my birthday Waking up in Miami.
What's my boy Zach say? Get your ass in some water and your toes in your sand.
Oh, and
Oh,
some
I'm in it.
lunch in Jamaica.
That's right, man. The all inclusive going down there in the grill. Sure. If anybody ever goes to Jamaica, you obviously want to fly into Montego, stay away from Kingston. That is a bad side of the island. When you fly into Montego Bay, you can reach out to my boy Dwayne Taxi. If you need that number, I can give it to you. Actually, I'm going to give, well, if you need the number, I have the best taxi driver in Jamaica. He's freaking awesome, has a great family, a beautiful little, can I say cracker house? Because that sure looks like an old cracker house, like the ones you see down in the old towns. And so he's got a beautiful home, nice little garden, two beautiful children. And his name's Dwayne Taxi. You can actually look that up. I think he's on Google as well. Dwayne Taxi. Um, Very good man. Very good man. He'll be picking us up from the airport.
I'm
Anyway,
excited.
yeah, so we won't be doing a show next Saturday. We were going to tape it and then play it later, but we kind of like the vibe of like doing it and then sending it out real quick. We were going to do the live stream. Anybody looking for a podcast, I can tell you the StreamYard is really awesome. Shout out to the techs there. Um, yeah, shout out to the text, man. It's 2 clicks. We're in here and we're going. And we do have the Roland VR1, which is a nice addition. It allows me to bring in sound effects. And I haven't quite got that far yet because I have to use the program on the computer, and I'm not the program guy, but got the little rocking Teddy Van Rose. Take your panties off and throw them on the floor, baby. All right, so that's what it's got on there so far. We're working on it. We're working on it. Christmas time is upon us. There was an interesting story out of Tampa. I looked it up today. It was on the Dodo. It was actually on the news this morning when I was flipping around, but it's on the Dodo. So this lady buys a Christmas tree. Lady buys a Christmas tree. The other day, Brett Ingram. Oh, is this the story or is that her? But it was the lady anyway. So she was at home catching on some work on her computer when a strange noise struck her ears and she couldn't figure out what it was. She said, but it was distinct and it seemed to have an eminent it was eminently coming from her Christmas tree. So she heard a little sneeze sound and couldn't figure out what it was. She looked over around the tree a little bit and didn't see anything. After a few moments, she heard the sound again. By this time, it was louder. And then she saw it, a huge, long, naked tail hanging out of the back of the tree. Her eyes moved up, but stayed completely still because she wasn't sure what it was. Sounds like a crime show. We're doing great. So she saw the giant breathing ball of gray fur, and it was a freaking possum, man. And you could see its head if you go look at the dodo. Just look at the lady who had the possum in her tree; it'll pop up. And that little thing, those little things are bastards, man. We used to have those out when I lived out over in West Palm Beach, where I grew up, down here in South Florida. You go out west of these possums, you better just turn the other way, man. Them little fuckers are evil, dude. They got teeth about that long, and their eyes are beady red, and then they'll mess
If
you
I
up, man.
found one of those in our tree, I would have to leave the house, and I don't think I'd be able to come back.
I think
No
you
way.
would. You absolutely would. So she backed up and looked around. She looked around. She thought for a minute and said, "Oh, how adorable!" She goes, "I have no idea how it got in." Ingram said, "I have never had a wild animal in my house before." She said his little sneezes were really cute. Ingram wasn't sure how to proceed, so she called the game and wildlife that we have down here, and was on her way to put up some gloves to carry the possum back outside. So what she did, she said it was huge. She said the video just makes him look like a baby. For Ingram, an animal lover, which is awesome, the unexpected encounter with the possum in her Christmas tree was almost like an early present, she said. It made my entire month. And despite her initial shock, she said she'll never forget it. Christmas 2023 was just the best for her. And I got to agree. That's just a really good story.
Well, it definitely would be something I would not forget.
Yeah, no,
Ever.
probably not. So, did you have another story?
Well, I just have some interesting things about Christmas around the world. You know, I was thinking about all the different traditions that I had with my family growing up, and it started making me think about, what do other people do in other countries? I'm always interested. I love going to, I know you were talking about Disney, but I love going to around the world at Epcot. I can't help it.
Yeah, it's just terrible. Like I said, oh man, there's so many political shows, and that's why we try to be funny. We want good news along with the bad news, and we want to have some fun doing it. And we really, really just want to engage with the listener. I mean, that's really what we want. We're normal people, man. We're week to week. Like I said, after the back surgery, and I had to shut things down. I have zero income right now, so my wife's just knocking it out of the park. But I just don't understand these people are the places. Target too. Target last summer they did some LGBT stuff and it was in the kids section, and the actual work was done by some satanic dude. You can go look it up, man. I mean, I'm not making it up. I try to be just as clear and honest as I can. I have no reason to lie because I am in my house. So, we're safety first here, baby. I ain't got to worry about nothing in here. And so they ended up losing, like, I don't remember the number, $4 billion or something. And now they have LGBT Christmas ornaments. You can get the gay pride nutcracker. You can get the lesbian nutcracker. You can get they have a black Santa in a wheelchair with the gay pride flag, which I don't personally think 6 and 7-year-olds need to see that. Same thing with the school. You see the video where the lady runs in and she goes in the classroom and she rips the pride flag off the door. Like, you don't need to shove this in my kid's face. And some of these teachers just think they're entitled. They have a curriculum, and it's the administration that's allowing them to change this curriculum. And parents, man, are doing great. And then if the parents even get remotely close to doing something on these boards, they're charged as a domestic terrorist. It's absolutely nuts what's going on, and I don't know what people do, man. I just don't understand how you wake up in the morning and your first thought is trying to make a little kid want to cut off his genitals. Somebody should be doing something about this. I mean, this should be a crime, and the left's just embracing it. And I think that's the worst part for me. I think that's the worst part is that people are embracing this, man. Hamas has been labeled a terrorist organization. This isn't a secret, and you're walking around waving flags about the Palestinian people. They're breeded young to hate America. I mean, they all are. So what if it was Iran killing a couple Americans in a station wagon? It would be okay. People just need to get their shit together, man. It's really rough out there, man. I got a friend of mine that's over there in Europe. I meant to send him a text, tell him not to go to Ireland. He said that was his last stop. He was going to Scotland and Ireland and Paris, and I don't know what. France has got a lot of immigrant issues too. I was reading an article about that the other day. But Ireland, man, yeah, that Conor McGregor story, and the people there just going batshit because these children are getting stabbed with their caretaker. Like, people just need to take a long look at what's happening. The world's changing. The demographics are changing. Masculinity is just being eliminated. Nobody wants to have a spine anymore. So, anyway, sorry. So, you have another story, right? I'm on a rant, man. I'm on a rant.
Well, back to the good news. So it's not really good news, but the just ways different people celebrate Christmas. Um, so you were
Was
talking
this your
about Ukraine.
traditions around the country? Oh,
It
I
was.
love this story.
Yes. So, and then, so anyway, so to start with Ukraine, you talked about Ukraine. So that was one of the first one. And actually 49% of Ukraine's population is Orthodox Christians, but they don't observe Christmas Day until January 7th, which I found very surprising. And they do this by dressing in traditional garments and walking through town singing carols. But they make a dish called, and I apologize if I mispronounce, but kuta, and it's made of cooked wheat mixed with honey and ground poppy seeds, and sometimes nuts. And it's a popular Christmas Eve treat. Some families actually throw spoonfuls of this kuta at the ceiling.
Spoonfuls. What happens if it sticks?
If it sticks, there will be good harvest in the new year. So that is how Ukraine celebrates Christmas.
That is a really good story. And those poor people, I mean, I get it. I think everybody gets it. Everybody gets it. I mean, there's a war going on over there. There's actually two wars going on over there. And there's going to be a third war as soon as China tries to go after Taiwan. We can just hope that doesn't happen before the next election, because that's just going to make a bigger mess.
And you also talked about Ireland. So in Ireland, which is a beautiful place,
Let me guess, beer.
no.
No, no beer.
So they're more known for their whiskey than their beer, aren't they? I'm not sure.
Yeah, Irish whiskey. There's a
Yeah.
funny story about Irish whiskey. There was how's the story go? There was an Irishman, a Scottishman, and an Englishman, and they were playing around at golf. And they were sitting around trying to figure out how many holes to play because they had just invented the game. This is all new. And the guy said 18, and he says, "Why 18?" He said, "Because there is 18 shots of Irish whiskey in each jug, and when the jug is gone, the game of fucking golf is done." So that's why they have 18 holes. That's how the story goes, anyway.
Well, I just thought of Guinness beer, so I guess they're famous for both. But the Irish actually leave a tall red candle in the front of their window overnight. It's a welcoming symbol of warmth and shelter for the holiday season. And their traditional Christmas fare is roast goose, vegetables, cranberries, and potatoes.
Mm,
And
sounds yummy.
and the red candle in the window is actually something that my parents did as I was growing up. Um,
The red candle.
the red candle, and especially when we lived in Pennsylvania, that was a big thing.
You know, this
And
Irish government, they better be careful. I mean, you know what their shot is, right? Like if you do shots, you know the Irish shot, and they better be careful over there messing around with those people, man. They're not going to joke around.
all right, so our next country is Japan. So Japan actually doesn't celebrate Christmas. It's not a national holiday there. Only 1% of the country is actually Christian, according to Smithsonian Magazine. But they found a delicious way to celebrate anyhow. So rather than gathering around a table for turkey, they go out to their local Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I love the Kentucky
Uh,
Fried Chicken stuff.
so the tradition began quite a while ago, and actually, people stand in line for hours and pre order their chicken buckets to celebrate Christmas in
That's a
Japan.
great story. That's a great story. Japan, I hear, is really beautiful. I think we should take a trip there one time. We try to do a really nice trip every summer, at least since we've been married, and we had a really nice trip this summer. I don't know if I want to get into all the details because we had a little truck camper, a little vintage truck camper on the back of the F-250. And to make a long story short, it was a great trip. We went to Texas, we hit the Cadillac Ranch, we went to Vegas and lost what, $200? I think it was $100 each. We didn't want to lose more than that.
Nope.
Nobody hit the big dollars. But then we took that ride from Vegas down to Sedona. The next morning, early daybreak was just happening, and we were taking the hot air balloon ride. And I don't know if a lot of people know this. There are mountains in Arizona. Like I always thought it was a desert with like those little rock mountains. When you take that ride south from Vegas to Sedona, that is one of the most spectacular trips I've ever seen. We've done cabins in Colorado, we've done cabins in Tennessee. And I got to tell you that drive south from Vegas down there was just absolutely stunning.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, the hot air
Beautiful
balloon ride was
scenery.
the hot air balloon ride was really cool too. We got to watch the rabbit.
It was a non-windy day, and so it was a very slow going ride,
Yeah,
but it was
watching the
still
flowers
amazing.
grow, watching the flowers. So then we left there. We had a couple days. So we had a cabin reserved in Colorado because I had to see Sturgis while we were making this trip. And we shot over. So we saw San Francisco. We saw the Golden Gate Bridge. Saw Alcatraz, which is right there
Mhm.
because we loved Alcatraz. So I had to stop and get a license plate. Pretty badass. I don't know if you ever watched the Clint Eastwood movie Alcatraz, but you should watch it. There was actually some U.S. Marshal stuff that developed. I don't remember when it was, 4 or 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I don't remember. But the three guys that escaped in that movie, they claim lived. There was some photos from these guys down in Brazil, I think it was, running a farm, and it was the brothers. And they did audio, face recognition and all kinds of stuff, and it was actually them, which I thought was pretty amazing.
Good for them.
Yeah, it was a pretty good story. So, what you got, girl?
Well, I have more of the Christmas around the world. So Sweden, that this was fascinating to me. There is a Yule goat, and it's been
Oh, what?
a Yule goat, and it looks something like a Trojan horse to me. It's so
That's pretty.
huge.
Of all the countries you hear over there with turmoil, I think Sweden, the Netherlands, Iceland, obviously. Nobody wants to fuck with
It's
Iceland.
cold.
Iceland's got some gorillas, dude. What is it? That Viking DNA? That Iceland's got some big people. You don't want to be messing around with Iceland. I mean, these guys are brutes. I think three of them were like the last world's strongest guys things, carrying kegs on their shoulders. I mean, yeah, pretty impressive.
So this Yule goat actually has been a Swedish tradition, a Swedish Christmas symbol dating back to ancient pagan festivals. However, in 1966, the tradition got a whole new life after someone came up with the idea to make a giant straw goat, now referred to as the gobble goat.
Is that like the Trojan goat?
It is 2 feet high,
Wow.
23 feet wide, and weighs 3.6
If you know
tons.
your history, you know the Trojan horse. This is the straw Trojan goat.
So each year, the massive goat is constructed in the same spot. And fans can even watch a live stream from the first Sunday of Advent until after the new year when it's taken down.
That's awesome.
So,
That's awesome. That's a beautiful area. We almost flew over. Our instead of going over there, we took our summer trip around the country. But we were planning on going into Amsterdam. We were going to go to Brussels. We were going to go to Germany, and then we had the cottage booked in Sweden. We actually canceled it, but we had this
in the
beautiful,
Alps.
yeah, in the Alps, man. And we were going to head down to Italy, and that's where we were going to fly out of. No, it wasn't Italy. It was Milan. I think that was the closest place you can get to was Milan, but. Yeah, we almost took that trip, but we decided to take the truck and the camper because we just didn't feel safe over there with everything that's going on. It's probably good that we didn't because we would have been in that area, Germany, Ireland. Probably a good idea we didn't go that way.
Yeah, traveling around the world right now, there's just so many unknowns and things going on. Not that going to Jamaica it might be the
Yeah, well,
safest of all spots in the
yeah,
world, but
well, we go to
it'll
Negril.
be
Well,
okay.
where we're going is Negril, and that's the laid back side of the island. I mean, I've been down there before, and the people are super nice down there. I mean, super nice. I mean, these people are so proud of Negril that when people come from other areas of the island, the locals, they tell them to get the fuck out of there. Go back to your side. We don't even want you over here. But very delightful people, man. They're playing guitars and they're sitting there in their little hut selling Red Stripe, which for the record, I do drink warm Red Stripe. Okay. So, but we're going to bring Bacardi this time. We're not going to mess around. We're bringing a jug and we're going to have 4 days of our ass in the water and our toes in the sand, drinking little food drinks with the umbrellas. That's my plan.
A week from today, we shall
Yeah.
be there
Yeah.
enjoying.
That'll be a good time.
So, did you have any Christmas traditions in your family that like every
The only thing that I can remember every year was opening up that Christmas Eve present and watching Christmas Story, of course, because you're going to shoot your eye out, kid. And then the flip and the slide. Best part ever.
the strangest tradition I think we had, which my brother's family actually still carries on, is that on Christmas Eve we would have kosher deli food and to honor our Jewish friends, my parents said.
That's a good
So,
story.
yeah.
That's a whole train wreck right now, too, with them poor guys. I mean, Hamas is a terrorist organization. We're just going to leave it at that. Hamas is a terrorist organization, and if you support Hamas, you should be a direct threat to national security. I mean, they're locking people up for Jan 6. I read an article the other day. I think it was the Washington Journal or a couple weeks ago. I have to remember. I have to look, but these people have been in prison for over 2.5 years, and they haven't even been sentenced to a crime. I mean, that's some pretty shitty stuff right there. You had something about the Netherlands too, didn't you?
Well, let's see. I'm on Finland.
You're
So
on
let me
Finland.
go to Finland. So in Finland, on Christmas morning, Finnish families traditionally eat a porridge made of rice and milk topped with cinnamon, milk, or butter. Whoever finds the almond placed inside one of the puddings wins, but some families cheat and they actually put a almond in every kid's pudding.
Always better with nuts, baby.
Everybody gets a trophy kind of thinking, I suppose.
Always better with nuts.
So whoever gets it wins. And then at the end of the day, it's customary to warm up in the sauna together.
I
Because
see a
it
lot
was
of
a little strange.
you say sauna. I see a lot of those ice baths. Like I was watching something on Rogan where he does like the 185-degree sauna and then jumps in 32-degree water. I don't
You
know,
know what?
man.
You know
I
what
don't.
that was?
I was in the pool. Everybody remember the George Costanza right from I was in the pool.
We were watching Grumpy Old Men the other day, and she did that in the movie where she was in her hot sauna and then she went and rolled in the snow. Remember?
Oh yeah, that was a good
Those are
movie.
great Christmas
Grumpy Old Men
movies.
is on my Christmas list. I
Yes.
love the show. I think they do. Is that Christmas time they do there? Yeah, there's lights on.
Uh,
Yeah, I
at
think
the
there was
end of the
lights in there.
movie.
And I love that Jack Lemon's playing chess. That's really awesome. I love to play chess. I never claimed to be really good at it, but I do love chess. I love golf too. I think the worst part of me hurting my back, man, is the golf. I think
Mm.
because that's a near and dear subject to my heart. Self-taught. I was just getting to that point where if there was a tree between me and the ball, I could shape it either way. I mean, not within 2 feet, but definitely within 20 yards, which I thought was pretty impressive.
So, want me to do more?
You can roll with it, girl.
Iceland. So in Iceland, some
Gorillas, dude. Those guys are gorillas. Have you ever looked at go look up World's Strongest Man Iceland. These guys are freaking gorillas, man.
Well, they have to be strong to survive. It's like
It's
winter
Viking DNA, dude, is what it is.
12 months out of the
I
year.
mean, these guys wrestle polar bears. I would believe if there was a polar bear and an Iceland, what do you call them? Icelanders? If there was a polar bear and an Icelander, I don't know, man. I think I put 5 on each and hope to win my $10 back.
But in Iceland, similar to the 12 days of Christmas in the US, Iceland celebrates 13. So each night before Christmas, Icelandic children are visited
Icelandic. Love that.
Icelandic
Love that.
by 13 Yule lads. After placing their shoes by the window, the little ones will head upstairs to bed. In the morning, they'll either receive candy if they're good or be greeted with shoes full of, what do you think it is?
I'm gonna go with beer.
Rotten potatoes.
You know what they call potatoes in Ireland? Irish diamonds, girl. That's what that's going on. Irish diamonds.
So you thought coal was a terrible gift. Try having some rotten potatoes
Hey,
shoved in your
hey,
shoes.
coal is a terrible gift unless it releases, the 4,285 pounds of pressure, which makes it a diamond. That's the only
There
piece
you
of coal they
go.
want.
All right. Christmas around the world. Enjoy your Christmas.
Yeah, it's a good story. You see the one about the rhino? Did I show you that one about the rhino? A
I love baby animals.
She does love baby animals. I'm glad we don't have ducks or something. Oh, baby duck girl. So the birth of the rare eastern black rhino was cause for celebration. They watched the amazing birth, caught on camera. That's a pretty good story because apparently they're most of them are born at night, and there's only like 600 in the United
Mm.
States or around the world, I guess I should say, because it said 600 total. So keepers at the Chester Zoo were left thrilled following the sale of the arrival, following the safe arrival of the new eastern black rhino. This was a calf. The mother Zuri gave birth to the, and during the daylight, the staff recorded the occasion. Rhino experts say it's unusual for a calf to be born in the daylight, which gave keepers a unique opportunity to witness the 2:45 p.m. arrival of the 15th month pregnancy. The eastern black rhino, listed as critically endangered by the International Union of Conservation of Nature. I tell you what the problem is. The last time I did the show, I had the notes. This time I'm trying to do it on my tablet without my glasses. So I'm trying to do my best. Just bear with me here a little bit. The eastern black rhino is listed as critically endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, the IUCN, one of the 3 black rhinoceros species, fewer than 600, which are found across Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda, which I believe are all 3 in Africa. I think they are all 3 in Africa. Conservationists believe the birth of the healthy calf will help global efforts to prevent the species from disappearing altogether. There was what was that down in Florida? Something got really, really low. Wasn't the alligator? How was it? Because we got plenty of alligators. If you're coming from up north, do not go in the water. You're going to get eaten. We've been eagerly awaiting the birth of this 15-month, and it's quite unusual for the rhino to give birth in daylight hours. I knew that. We really didn't expect it to happen right in front of us as we were going about our day, said the zoo's rhino team manager, Emma Evaston. To be able to witness the calf safely enter into this world in front of our very own eyes was just the most incredible privilege. She is inquisitive and full of energy, and this is just brilliant to see. Baby animals. Baby rhinos. I mean, that's just adorable.
Yes, I'm on quite a few groups where it's the video cam of the baby giraffe and the baby pandas
Oh my
and the
God.
baby eagles or the eagle's nest.
She ain't
Yes, I
joking.
love watching all of those.
And I am forced to watch most of those with her. All right, Mama.
That's all I got for around the world.
That's all you got from around the world. I set this little timer and it shut off on me. So I don't know how long we've been doing this. We were trying to get an hour. We got the StreamYard software hooked up, and everything seems to be working properly. And I decided to go with this Opus clip. And what this does, if we have an hour video or longer, I can drop it in there, and it'll send out a bunch of shorts through the software. I'll keep you updated how that works too. And it's Christmas time, man. Be kind to one another. I mean, just enough is enough. I mean, if you can't be civil, the chances are you're a Democrat anyway. So what's it matter? Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it. We won't be here next Saturday, but we will be back after that. Thank you so much. And remember, God bless. And I'm not wearing pants.